Hello everyone, this is Bahanur Nasya from Wonderland. We are having today the first stakeholder webinar from Turkey. Today we have as guest KOJENTÜRK, which is serving nationwide in Turkey. And we will have Yavuz Aydın and Yağmur Bozkurt from KOJENTÜRK. Would you introduce yourself?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Yavuz Aydın. I'm the chairman of Turkish Cogeneration Association. Turkish Cogeneration Association is a non-government organization in the energy sector of Turkey. As this association became official in the year 1998. We are now more than 25-year-old association as of this year, and I will introduce a brief presentation about our association and let you know more about KOJENTÜRK. And my friend, the coordinator of association, is energy system engineer Yağmur Bozkurt, is also accompanying me here, and she will fill in as I require.
Thank you very much. We have also Özlem and Yasemin from the municipality of Izmir, who is currently working on a pilot case in Izmir. So it will be very important, Yasemin and Özlem, if you have any questions, because we consider KOJENTÜRK as a national stakeholder. So I assume we can find synergies and parallel collaboration possibilities. So please, whenever you have a question to Yavuz, just feel free to raise your hand. Thank you. Yavuz, please start your presentation.
Okay, let me start it. So, okay, KOJENTÜRK, Turkish Cogeneration Association is okay. Let me switch into the presentation mode. Okay. We have been established in 1998 in Istanbul, and our primary goal is to work towards the wider use of cogeneration in Turkey for a sustainable energy future. KOJENTÜRK is a member of Cogen Europe since the year 2001, and also recently in the last 3 years, we have been one of the founding members of the Cogen World Coalition, which was established centered in Brussels and including United States and the other global Cogen users and lovers. This is our organization chart. We have a board of directors and a supervisory board. We have advisory committee, regional representatives, and in Turkey, depending on the based on the number of established cogeneration or combined heat and power plants, we have 4 different region representatives. Our vision is widespread use of cogeneration technology all over the country, and of course we have some mission statements, and basically to work with technology owners, government offices, investors, and chambers and industrial zones and all required areas to set up more and more combined heat and power plants as applicable area and situations, and make use of this energy efficiency technology. I will make it pretty quick. What is cogeneration? Basically, cogen is simultaneous production of electricity and heat, and where there is a need of heat, steam, cooling, and electric together in a facility. It could be an industrial facility, it could be a health facility, big hospitals, whatever, or a shopping mall, or a big complex and university campuses and big official buildings. Wherever you need heating, cooling, and electricity all together, the combined heat and power technologies are the best applicable solution. And with use of this technology, compared with the conventional power generation, you can reach up to 90% of combined efficiency and make use of same fuel to generate different versions of the energy. I will pass rapidly this schematic. It shows basically a city-wide application, including district heating and electricity use, which are currently applicable to many Northern Europe and Eastern Europe countries. In Turkey, where we are, based on last month situation, the installed total capacity, electric capacity in Turkey is around 103,000 megawatts. And out of that, approximately 6% of that installed capacity is CHP, or combined power, heat and power, cogeneration. And the distribution of this technology among the sectors, as you can see in this pie chart, it is mainly in the industry, the chemical and mining, textile, iron and steel, the metals, and refineries, and petrochemical areas, and biogas fermentation, and those type of areas. And of course, in those small percentages are used in other areas, including airports, the shopping centers, or hospitals. And a brief information about our members, our member profile. We have total, as of last week, 94 members. Out of them, 57 local companies, and we have just a moment, international companies as well. And we have some individual members and honorary members from academics and universities. And as you can see from the logos, like some international companies like Doosan, Inyo, Jenbacher, Siemens, Caterpillar, and their local establishments, their local companies in Turkey, they are our members. And in addition to them, of course, the major Turkish power producers, or engineering companies, or the big companies like in the iron and steel, like Eregli Demir Çelik, and Kazan Soda, and those type of companies are our members as well. Çanakkale Ceramic, and they are all Cogen users and also our members. What do we do? We do some conferences, seminars, workshops, and and annual conference and fairs, and those are some photos from those activities. The energy minister himself, he supports our activities, and for many years the governmental officials and also big investors and top level C-level managers of the companies, they are part of our activities, as you can see. And we are in the social media, and we have our quarterly bulletin, Cogeneration bulletin, which we distribute through a huge number of subscribers. As of today, it is more than 45,000 subscribers to our bulletin, and we share our quarterly bulletin to those subscribers. And that's a brief presentation about our association. And I can continue with the rest of other sites, our activities, and ready to answer any questions in the next part of the webinar.
Thank you very much, Yavuz. That was very informative, and I think we have a little bit an understanding what you are doing. So in Turkey, in the PED-ACT project, we have basically pilot cases in residential areas. Do you have any experience, because you showed mainly projects which, or you described the collaboration with the industrial pilots. Do you aim, or do you work with residential areas as well?
Now, in Turkey, as I have shared in my presentation in the pie chart, I can say something probably 90% of the existing plants are in the industrial area. So in the industry, mainly those industrial facilities using steam or other steam derivatives or heat levels, different levels, they are using this system. On the other hand, in the residential side, there have been one exemplary power plant in Turkey, in Istanbul, and it was a district heating and combined cycle power plant. It was one of the good example. It worked more than 20 years, and because of the older technology, it was retired several years ago. And that was one of the good exemplary district heating and combined cycle electricity and heating power plant, 180 megawatt, and something like 10 up to something 10,000 people or 10,000 subscribers could be getting benefits of this system. Now it no longer works. On the other hand, currently the residential areas, actually the most or least, I can say, least developed area for the cogeneration systems, and that's the new area. And because of this need, energy ministry and some European energy agencies, they have been working together to develop a heat law. And this heat law and heat markets, it is non-existing at the moment in Turkey. There is a energy market regulatory authority in Turkey for many years, regulating all the petroleum, oil, or natural gas or electricity markets. And but because of the lack of a heat law and heat market, we have not been able to develop the residential heating or industrial heating through the district heating systems in our country. That's what one of the major challenge at the moment in Turkey.
My next question would be about the current patterns, which is also connecting to the example or the best practice in Istanbul. We see that also in Austria, there were already 20 years ago energy communities, and obviously also in Istanbul, and they ran into the risk that the technology gets old, and obviously there's no system to renew or keep it maintained or change it by time. And my first question would be, what happened to the community in Istanbul? Did they change the system to something which the network is providing them? And the second, what kind of risk groups did you encounter in the last decades?
Yeah, now actually I have been in Vienna, and I know the very a great example of district heating system which collects and burns all the city waste into district heating, and this is one of the good example. And in Turkey, in Istanbul specifically, there are more than I believe currently two incineration systems currently working, but they are mainly generating power out of this incineration. They are not connected or integrated with a district heating. Although the one recently commissioned, it has all technological provisions uh, to connect to a district heating system as required in the future. This is one of the plant which we expect. And other than that, there's another big city waste landfill application. This landfill gas power plant is also planning to develop district heating systems in addition to their existing system. So it's under municipality. Actually, all of those in Istanbul, they are connected, either connected or belong to Istanbul municipality. And most of them, as I said, not incineration, but mainly the landfill gas applications. And we see that there will be more. There's a new contract signed, another one in the Asian part of Istanbul. It is also going to be an incineration plant. And of course, those are the ones which require infrastructure to make use of their excess power, excess heat to share with the residential or office buildings or whatever governmental official buildings. But currently, it is the main missing point is the heating infrastructure is not does not exist. And we will see that, for example, there's a pretty good, well-known application in Izmir based on geothermal in Izmir metropolitan city. But it's been established for many years ago, and it is working pretty well. And what we need in Istanbul is especially in the newly developed areas, we have to set up the heat pipelines and heating distribution infrastructure. That's what we need to connect to those type of plants.
Thank you very much. I think the example you are mentioning in Istanbul are basically reusing waste. I would like to understand a bit better how the situation with renewable energy is, but especially in Izmir and Ankara. You mentioned in Izmir there is a geothermal facility, but what do you think? I mean, first of all, do we recover the potentials of waste? And secondly, what kind of renewable energy sources should we really focus on in Ankara and Izmir as our pilots are there?
Okay, now Ankara and Izmir, those two cities, big population, and there are some differences in terms of building stocks and the climate conditions. Ankara is located in highlands, inland and highlands, basically 900-meter average from the sea level, and Izmir is at the sea level. Therefore, the main difference between those two cities is the need for the heating in the winter time. Ankara has long and harsh winter conditions. Therefore, the requirements for the heating, any type of fuels, mainly natural gas or other, is consumed probably in Ankara, probably like 4 or 5 times more than Izmir. Therefore, the district heating is a critical need in Ankara, and any kind of renewables would be would definitely yield a significant savings in the fuel consumption. And in Izmir, though, because of the mild climatic conditions, Izmir has the benefit of getting more sunshine and wind measurements. That's their benefit in terms of capability or potential of utilization of renewables. And Ankara is lack of not lack of, but at least if we give a number for sun irradiation, if it is in Izmir, it is like out of 10. If Izmir is like 9, Ankara is only 4 or 5 because of the high elevation and a little northern location in the country. And now potential, when we say potential, but because of the spendings for the heating in Ankara is too much, any small percentage of contribution of renewable would end up with big savings. So this is the critical thing. And now we know that there's a small cogeneration and district heating plant. One of our member in Ankara, it is in Bilkent, and what this power plant generates power in the summertime while supplying only hot water to the region, but in the winter time they supply all the heating of all those members in the Bilkent area, including the university and the residential area. So that's one of the best area which we started working with them to apply any solar contribution to their existing need of heating. So this is probably if we start any work together, that could be the first the pilot project for us in Ankara. In Izmir, though, there are so many alternatives and there are so many potential. In addition to the existing geothermal, the solar thermal is one area to contribute the steam need of those industrial facilities. And in order to explore and work more on that area, as KOJENTÜRK, we have we have combined our efforts together, and we will be organizing a big event in Izmir in the last week of this month. It is going to be solar thermal application for industrial facilities. This is a conference and workshop, and we are organizing this event on the 26th of September in Izmir with the support of Izmir Chamber of Trade, Izmir Chamber of Industries, and ENSIA, which is an industrial businessman of energy group. So there are big potentials in this conference. And from the Izmir, as I said, the supporters are ENSIA. It's another association, and association is the Energy Businessmen Association, and EPSO is the Aegean Region Industrial Chambers, and in addition, İZTO, İzmir Trade Association organization, and İzEnerji. İzEnerji is also a supporter, and I believe Karşıyaka municipality should contact with İzEnerji, and the general manager of İzEnerji, Ercan Bey, is aware about the situation, this conference.
Thank you very much. So our colleagues in Izmir, you are invited to the conference. I hope that will be very useful exchange for you, and I think also we can learn a lot for our PED-ACT project. Because we have these two cities, and you mentioned the climate conditions and also the possibilities to gain renewable energies are pretty different. But as a visitor to both cities, I have the feeling the built structures, buildings are pretty similar. That's the reason why I would like to hear your opinion. What is the building culture, building stock? I have the feeling it's built the same, even though conditions are differently, and probably the buildings are not fit for the climate. So that's also a big reason why we need more energy in the buildings. Would you like to comment on that?
Yes, the building styles and building types differ a little different from Ankara to Izmir. And in Izmir, because of the mild winters, most of the buildings they don't have central heating system, or even they use some individual heating types, like either they use some heat pumps, recently developing heat pump systems, or they use their air conditioners to heat themselves in winters. But because very cold climate in Ankara, all of those buildings built in the last, let's say, 25 to 30 years, they are mainly organized and built, including some central heating, or some of those newer buildings, they are built with the individual combi systems. Those combi systems, basically, each flat can arrange their own heating requirements depending on their usage of the daytime, or they can use those systems, but most of them are based on natural gas use. And the central heating is widely known in Ankara, and the buildings require uh, like 5 months heating in the winter season. Uh, you know, opposed to Izmir. Izmir only needs probably a few months, even less than a few months heating requirement. And the buildings uh, also the because Ankara is a capital city, there are so many governmental official buildings and complexes, big buildings, and they are possibly the first candidates to make some studies. And actually some studies already been done, and some of them already being reported to be best candidate for cogeneration use for district heating, not district heating, but small mini grid heating system with the combined heat and power systems, and renewable systems, mainly solar, is the area, very good applicable areas in Ankara because of the so many big building complexes. And one other thing also mentioned in Ankara is because of long winters, they have so many big shopping centers, and they are actually all of them, they are using combined heat and power cogeneration systems for their needs. And it shows that Ankara is one of the best area for such applications. And of course, when we talk about renewable, the solar will have big important contribution to this heating requirement in the winter.
Thank you very much. But even though there are potentials, and there are also even calculations made for Ankara at least, we still don't have any PED. And I would like to know what are the necessary steps to create cogeneration energy, or even work towards PED, and why are those steps not taken, or where is the bottleneck?
Now, it was probably maybe even 10 years ago, the first introduction of ESCO model in Turkey was presented, and even our association, Turkish Cogen Association, we have organized the ESCO model presentation in Istanbul. It is basically the energy services company who makes all the investment and everything, set up a combined heat and power system for any plant, hotel, hospital, or any shopping center, whatever, and operate. And the actual user of that energy in terms of heating, steam, cooling, or electric, they only pay for what they use. So basically, it's a long-term kind of long-term engagement of the investor, the ESCO company, and between ESCO company and the consumer. And this is a good model. And currently, there are some of those type of application in place in Turkey, mainly in the private sector, the private owners or industrialists. But as Ankara, as I mentioned, so many official buildings, universities, whatever, they are mainly either owned by government or municipalities, and there is a big hurdle for those governmental offices, and there's a tender law uh, based on the existing tender law, long-term services. There's a lack of legislation about for any like hospital or university or let's say a ministerial building to engage with the ESCO company. And what was missing, the legislations. And now I can say last year it's it was after a long work, all the legislation requirements are completed and put into effect, and the governmental offices able to start long-term ESCO services tendering starting from early this year or late last year. So as of today, we have all required legislation environment, and any, let's say, a building of a municipality or a big complex of ministerial building can open, can start a tender for long-term ESCO service. And one other thing, recently I had a meeting and engaged with them. A super ESCO model is under implementation. That is basically a sort of guarantor of such ESCO implementation. As you know, who is the guarantor? Basically, the governmental support is put behind, and any sort of performance guarantees can be supported by this super ESCO model. So ESCO model has been the challenge for many years, and now I can say it is open and it can be implemented for anywhere, including the governmental offices. The main requirement over there is that, of course, if for any ESCO company also, basic requirement is the financing.
Thank you very much. Obviously, there is this big potential of 80-90% of the building stock, which is already created in the last decades to fit these structures. But there is also, as we see on the streets, a lot of construction going on now, where it would be very easy to use the geothermal energy because we dig into the earth or we do the roofs new. But this is neither happening, also not in my country, but we see to develop a kind of like energy sufficiency or energy production. The main points to use in the life cycle of a building would be when the building is built or when the building is retrofitted. And I would like to know a little bit, is there any aims in this regard to build differently?
It is actually the residential heating, the main expense, main problematic area is the heat distribution pipeline systems, the infrastructure. And nowadays, in so many places, we are facing some road constructions or some infrastructure construction works, mainly for the internet fiber optics in so many places. And I believe it could be easier if those activities could be combined together, or make use of the same effort to combine those two efforts, build a district heating pipeline while digging all the streets and sidewalks to build the fiber optics. And this is one area. And now one other thing also, as I said, so many buildings in Ankara are currently a central heating system. They have central heating system, one boiler at the basement of the buildings. It is not difficult to connect those district central heating system, as long as you can build a heating distribution pipeline. So that was done in Bilkent. Bilkent is built during their building. It was a very good visionary project, and they built the district heating pipelines, and all of those university buildings and residential buildings, they are able to use this system. So it is the main challenge is to build that type of pipeline in the old residential areas, existing residential areas. And but of course, as we in Turkey, there are several opportunities. One of them is because of the high growth in the population. There are still so many new mass building complexes under construction, and those are the areas which are to be used for that purpose. Plus, as you may be aware, there have been a huge earthquake in the southeastern area and southeastern region of Turkey, including 11 cities. Uh, Almost all infrastructure and almost like 30 or 35% of all buildings collapsed, and they are all now under restructuring and rebuilding situation. And while implementing those infrastructure, renewing all of those infrastructure, that's the area, the district heating, and that area also is a very good area for the solar energy, and that's the best to use solar energy for district heating, and it is still a good opportunity to build uh, district heating pipelines over there in those areas. It's not Ankara or Izmir, but that's at the moment what I just wanted to mention.
Yeah, that's a priority, and I hope that certain cultures will change in near future, because as you said, this is a big opportunity, even though very big loss, but I think it's a big opportunity to change the building culture and also how we use energy and how we create energy. So I'm very happy that you joined us today. In the PED-ACT project, we are trying to improve an existing PED network. So I would like to, maybe this is the final question, if you don't have any things to add, or other colleagues, if you have any questions, please come forward. But my last question would be as you are also using other platforms for your own association, what kind of needs should such a platform cover? Because we are addressing, on the one hand, municipalities who make the decisions and who do such plans, but also to citizens, but associations like yours or any kind of experts. Would anything come up in your mind?
That's thank you very much, and I'm happy to share my association information and the works we have been working in the area. And now, as I briefly mentioned, the least potential we have been using in Turkey is the solar thermal potential. So solar, the PV type solar application it is developing very fast, and it's very good. I'm really happy to see that for electricity needs. And in addition to that, in some areas, we are there are some very good areas in terms of sun irradiation, and also the need of the heating, steam, or other things. Solar thermal is one good technology applicable almost half bottom half, I can say the south part of Turkey mainly. Izmir is included, and south part of Ankara, and those areas, there are huge potential of solar. So combined solar power, or combined solar heat, solar thermal, those are the areas which is required to be supported and implemented. In that area, in that sense, as association, we have engaged with some European associations like Solar Heat Europe, and Prothermal Solar of Spain, and Euro Heat and Power in Belgium, and those type of associations. And the companies, the technology owners, especially the Spanish and German companies, for example, the Izmir conference, we are going to be having Sweden technology companies from Sweden. Think about this, solar and Sweden, and they are pretty good, and they have own technology, and we want to have more of those companies to start working in Turkey because of the good solar potential to contribute the steam needs of industrial plants, and also develop district heating with the solar thermal.
Thank you very much, Yavuz. It was a pleasure to have you today with us. We will try to connect you more with our pilot cases and partners in Turkey especially, but also with our international partners. And yeah, it was very good to hear what an association can achieve in Turkey. And I hope we can collaborate in the future. Thank you for coming, and hope to see you soon in one of the conferences you mentioned.
Thank you very much. And as I indicated, all our current audience and yourself, you are invited to join our Izmir event on 26th of September, which we will present the solar thermal applications. And you are more than welcome, and join and enjoy Izmir in that day.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. See you next time.